What is up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. I sure am. I was able to get some cards. I got a 3080 EVGA XC3 Ultra. This again is a light hash rate card. I'll show you guys that. There it is, light hash rate, but it is what it is. Most cards you get now are light hash rate, especially if you're getting them new. So it is what it is. We're gonna slap it on Raven. And I was lucky enough to also get a second card while I was at Best Buy. It might seem familiar. It's a Zotac Gaming Twin Edge 3060 OC edition. So I have this exact same card, but the 3060 Ti. So I also picked up this guy. This we'll save for another video. I'm just gonna even put it right back in the bag. We'll keep it for another day. And this is gonna be our main focus today. So I'm gonna unbox this guy. We're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna set it up in the rig and get it mining Raven. But to do that, we're gonna have to talk about a bit of power. All right, so I've got a few things here. Like I showed last video, this I'll use to measure in real time what the actual consumption of my rig is. This is just some electrical tape for the extension. We have a surge protector. I always recommend using a surge protector. This is a pretty cheap one I just had laying around extra. I ordered a better quality one, but we'll use this for now. And the extension. So I want to go over this really quickly. What's important here really is the length and the gauge of your cable. So normally it'll be 16, 14 or 12 gauge. This is a 14 gauge cable. And depending on the length, it'll have a certain amperage rating, and that'll equate to a certain amount of max watts, right? So you see it here. For a 14 gauge cable that is 10 meters long, you can use 1,875 watts. So that's basically your full circuit, you know, your full 15 amp circuit. You can see here on this label that depending on, like I said, the gauge and the length, you have a max amperage there. So yeah, ours is 15, but basically that's what you want to do. I don't think I'm going to be running a full circuit's worth of power. I probably could have went with a 10 meter 16 gauge cable instead, but I wanted to be on the safe side and go with a slightly heavy duty one. So we're going to have to run this to the plug that is right over there. And there's the cat. So I'm going to run it along the wall, over on that side, across the door, and then into the room that way. So I'll get all that stuff done, and then we'll get to the unboxing of the 3080. We've got the extension coming in and coming out over here. I have it plugged in. Obviously nothing is plugged into the power bar, so it reads 0. Unboxing time. Let's do it. So it comes with this little bracket here, and I already just popped this out. Here we go. Installation guide. I don't think we really need that. And here's the card. Obviously there's that plastic foil on it, but oh, this puppy's heavy. One sec. Here we go. The back of it. Very nice. That is very nice. So I'll get all the plastic off this. I will set it up in the rig, and we'll turn on the computer, and hopefully it shows up. We'll get it on Ravencoin and start testing some overclocks. My stuff is ready to go. The reason I have 2 risers, one obviously is for the card. I got all the plastic off now. I'm gonna get some more shots of it. It's a pretty beautiful card, if I'm honest. Yeah, so the reason I have 2 risers is I'll probably change out the old version 7 riser I have here on the 3070 non-light hash rate. On the Asus Tough here, I have the new type riser, and my 1080 also has the old type riser. This one I'll probably just leave because it's an old card, old riser, makes sense. New card, I want to use a new riser on this guy, so I think I'll swap that out. And anyway, I have to re-manage the power distribution with the cables here. With just 3 cards, I kind of just slapped on whatever. But as you can see, this power supply has just three PCIe cables dangling. So I'm going to think about how I'm going to redistribute this with the 3080 in here. I almost said 1080, geez. With the 3080 in here. And yeah, we'll see. So about halfway done, I unplugged all the PCIe cables from the first and the second power supply, except the 1080. This one is just plugged in with 1 PCI cable and a splitter. So I'm going to leave it as is. I think I'm going to run off this PSU, which is running the motherboard and the CPU. I'm going to run the 3080 and the 1660 Super. And then I'm going to run the 3070 and the 1080 on my second PSU here. So I'm going to swap them around. And I already swapped the riser on this guy. It's waiting here basically. So I'm going to start plugging these guys back in and then getting everything ready to put the 3080 in. I reshuffled the cards, so both of these are running off the first power supply, and the second power supply is only powering this 1660 Super here. I have these 3 PCIe 8-pin connectors. I mean, they're dual daisy chain ones, but 3 connectors anyhow, ready for the 3080. And let's see how much we're pulling. I started the miner. It says 420, 220, yeah, call it 420 watts. And if we look with the software reports, we can see an average power of 345 watts. So that means basically the system is just pulling 75 watts more than this, more or less. Which makes sense. So it seems like, the wattage here that's software reported is pretty accurate. So 420 is the baseline. We're going to add in the 3080. Obviously that we're going to have to configure to mine on Ravencoin. And we'll do both those things in parallel, and we'll check the final power draw at the end for comparison purposes. Here we are. Everything's plugged in. I even have those 3 cards mining Ethereum like normally. This card is detected. Everything is good. I just don't have it mining on Ravencoin yet. I just want to make sure everything was okay. So if we look back at the power draw, we are at 436 watts. So, it seems like idling, that thing's pulling 15 watts, the 3080. I'm sure once we get it running, it'll pull a little bit more than that. So I'm going to start playing around with the overclocks, and I'll first obviously get a baseline with just, max power and all that. So let's get it running. So for the baseline test, I left the power limit at 100. I just set the fans to 90%. And you can see out of the box, we're getting 44 mega hash on KawPow. We're currently pulling 327 watts, reported through the software. And if I check here, we're at 777 watts. So again, it seems pretty accurate. It seems like this card is slightly underreported from the quick maths I'm doing here from this, but still pretty accurate overall. So this is our baseline, 44 point whatever, and 325 watts. So let's see if we can increase that production and decrease that wattage. Let's get at it. All right, so I've got some baseline overclocks here for us. What I'm running is 80% power limit, 900 on the memory, and 100 on the core. That gets me, once it stabilizes, normally about 47 point something mega hash, over 47 mega hash, and it pulls 270 watts. So that's still quite a bit of power usage. I want to try and get that down a bit, but if I drop it to, let's say, 75% power limit, my hash rate drops like below 43. So what I'm going to try and do now is use the locked core clock feature of T-Rex Miner to try and lock the core clock and save power that way without reducing hash rate. So I'm going to try that and get back to you with my final overclocks for this card. I think I'm calling it. I didn't change any overclocks at the end of the day. I played with it. I tried a negative core clock. I tried locked core clock. I tried turning up the memory clock a little bit. I never got anything really better than the baseline overclocks that I showed you guys. So I'm going to stick with that. We're slightly under 47 now, but that's just because Ravencoin kind of fluctuates up and down, but I mean, I'll call it a 47. Sometimes we're below, sometimes we're above. And look at the efficiency, it's 173 kilohash per watt. And if I look over at my 3060 Ti, we are very close to that too. We're at 176. I'm actually producing a lot right now, 27.81 mega hash. So yeah, anyway, that just goes to show you that both of the overclocks on the 3080 and 3060 Ti seem to give me about the same efficiency. I might rework the 3080 overclocks, but that's it for tonight. I'm done with it. I'll leave it as is. I think it's pretty good for now, and this will be what we'll get to in our next video. So stay tuned for that. I'll catch you guys next time. I'll just recap quickly the overclocks on the 3080. I went 80% power limit, 900 memory, and 100 on the core. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. I put a lot of time into these, even though it might not seem like it. And yeah, I'll keep the content coming. So have a good one. And if you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comments. Take care.